Yes, it's Royce Unchained here, and it's presented today by our friends at Summit Orthopedics. If you had, I don't know, maybe you had like a sore lower back that didn't get better with a new contract, and you need to see somebody. Summit Orthopedics has 25 locations in the Twin Cities and Greater Minnesota. No referrals are needed, same-day appointments, and walk-in orthopedic urgent care 7 days a week. You can learn more at summitortho.com. That is summitortho.com. The Lions, Patrick.
Yes, Patrick Mahomes is being asked to do a lot of things this year without any of his receivers. You can see without Travis Kelce, he is out of luck. What are they in that bad a salary cap problem?
Kadarius Toney had one of the worst games a wide receiver has ever had.
And then you read the gamer and they say Patrick Mahomes threw an interception for a touchdown. Yeah, no. The other guy threw the ball. The other guy threw the ball to the receiver. Threw the ball to the defensive back for a touchdown.
There's a great screenshot. I think it's Warren Sharp, football guy Warren Sharp on Twitter, took a screenshot of like, here's the ball in both, like touching both hands of Kadarius Toney with the defender trailing. It was zoomed, and he said the Lions scored 7 points on this play.
Yeah, and then the last throw that was going to make it on what? 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 20 or something. The guy dropped that when it hit him in his chest. But Andy didn't show much faith in his defense when he punted on 4th and 20. I mean, when he didn't punt on 4th and 25 with all 3 timeouts, right? And he was right. They couldn't stop him. They don't have Chris Jones. He's holding out. He's already been fined $3 million, and he's the judge was the one who told me they can't give that money back anymore in negotiations. They have to They have to keep it in the new deal. They have to.
He's fined.
They have to keep those fines. So their defense is terrible, and now he doesn't have any receiver with Kelce hurt. He doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. I had no idea that they were in this bad a shape offensively. And for receivers, it was he just had kind of a little shake of the head. Can you imagine Aaron Rodgers with that collection of receivers? He would have went over and started screaming at somebody on the sideline. But
legendary eye rolls.
Now the great part is this just builds on this Lions fantasy that we're hearing that this is going to be some kind of a great football team. So we'll find out. But I don't, they're better. There's no doubt. But they lost. They had a couple of guys leave or hurt already, didn't they? Didn't the good defensive back, the guy who caught the ricochet and ran for a touchdown?
Yeah, he got hurt.
He got hurt. So
yeah,
they do have the good offensive line, though. I think that they've spent as much draft capital as the Vikings have spent, they've spent even more, but to put in money to put this offensive line together. So that always helps. And, Jared Goff isn't as rotten as people think he is. He's not great, but he is, you give him a little time, he can make a throw, right?
Thank you. It's my guy. Yeah, these guys clown me all the time for saying Jared Goff is a lot better than people think.
We don't clown you too high on him. Yeah, he's okay.
It's
the center's okay, honestly. The local kid.
He's
the local kid's good though, Patrick. Ragnow.
Yeah, although he was still holding the football when the whole offensive line moved. That was the penalty when the guy said, "Everybody but the center." False start was the false start.
Isn't that one of the great penalties? There's the everybody but the center. That's one of on the Mount Rushmore of hilarious penalties. That's
giving him the business.
Giving him the business.
Here's what drives me crazy about the NFL, though. They ignore, like last year in the Super Bowl, they ignored every penalty there was until it was time to decide the game, right? Then they called the penalty. Then it wasn't a long pass interference or something. They hadn't called it the whole game. Last night, they decide the right tackle from the Chiefs. Collinsworth was calling him the slot back. He was, playing so far off the line. and moving so fast, they ignore it the whole game. And then when they complete a pass, they call it back with a minute to go, 40 seconds to go. They finally call the damn thing. The NFL, to me, you see plate umpires, there's a variety of strike zones and all that, but NFL referees have more influence on the outcome of the game. Now, we're going to have, yesterday, those guys didn't call any penalties till 5 minutes ago, right? We're going to have that Hockley guy refereeing a game sometime this weekend. There'll be 23 penalties. They will call every damn thing known to man. There is no consistency from one crew to the next. That's what drives me crazy.
Well, a lot of it's subjective. I mean, in basketball, in baseball, most of the calls are supposed to be black and white, right? Did the ball beat the runner? Is the pitch over the plate?
And
in football but in football and basketball, there's a lot of like, there is some contact. Was it enough to be a penalty? And so because I'm not defending them. I'm saying because it's subjective and there's gray area, they can decide to lean into calling more penalties or not. Right?
Yes, and that's what drives you nuts. Is okay, Sean Hockley or whatever his name is. He's here tonight. You're going to have 23 penalties. Tonight we don't know about these other guys. They might call 4, but tonight that right tackle would have been called 26 times if the Hockley crew had been there. So.
But how did the Lions not get that? What I don't understand is he was lined up like that the entire game. I mean, Collinsworth pointed out in the first quarter, how do you not just go to the officials and say, like if that was baseball, there would have been a conversation about the rule being broken.
We got a new rule that Correa can't be on the right side of the infield. How come you're letting him be over here 5 feet on the right side of the infield?
Is it possible? We make fun of Dan Campbell for not being the greatest in-game tactician, right? Is it possible he waited till the highest leverage moment of the game to say,
"Hey, I've been looking at that right tackle with 55 seconds to go." Yeah. He was fairly restrained on the sidelines. He doesn't do much, does he?
Yeah, well, his offensive coordinator is a genius who runs the entire side of the ball. Right. So he's like not involved with the offense other than, come on, guys. Or like there was the one moment, and I think they failed on it, but they were trying to put the game away with like 2.5 minutes left, and they cut to the sideline, and Dan Campbell, snorts up and says, "Go, go for it on 4th down." That's his offensive contribution.
Yeah, I think even Dan Campbell would have punted last night on 4th and 25. I mean, you gotta. No, nobody likes to give up the ball, but Andy, it's 4th and 25. In that situation, how many 4th and 25s are converted? 3%, maybe.
Yeah.
And once in a while, late in the game, when you're 2 touchdowns behind, they let you compete 4th and 25. But when a game's in doubt, 4th and 25 is never converted. So I don't know what he was doing, but without Kelsey, they don't have a chance. As good as Mahomes is, he was as good as he's ever been last night. He just, he'd throw the ball and they drop it. That's a bad situation.
So what's the conversation today, though? If Kadarius Toney does not drop that perfect pass late in the game, which would have set up a field goal, and the Lions had gone for it because he went for it on 4th down himself from like the 45 or something like that.
Yeah.
Would he be getting heat for not trying to at least punt it? And I know it's hard, but pin Mahomes, because that Kadarius Toney, that last drop might have been the most egregious. That ball was perfectly thrown.
Yes, it was. Well, you're right. That's what I was thinking. Punt. They haven't moved against you, and they got all these rotten receivers, and he gave them their chance. But I don't know. It's what the NFL wants, baby. Down to the last under 2 minutes. Under 2 minutes, you don't know who's going to win. That's the secret of success, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, Judd. We were talking about this yesterday, and I was trying to look up a real story though on college football. Phil, we had this discussion yesterday about how the time they're saving by running fewer plays, they are giving back more time than that to extra commercials.
Yeah.
I did not realize, the only thing I could find is college football now just like college basketball, has a TV timeout schedule.
Yeah.
You're supposed to get one at 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. So they call them. I wasn't actually zeroed in at every moment of that game with the Gophers, which is the only one I watched. But they stopped the series for TV timeouts. The NFL doesn't do that. They'll give you a TV timeout after a touchdown and then after a kickoff.
Oh, wait, so you're saying they do it like during a drive?
Yeah, they figured out how to stop them during the drive to some extent. Nobody actually put the stopwatch on it, but if you look at it, the games are about the same, dang near the same length, and they're just running 15 fewer plays. So they're just running more ads. And we should have known this was coming when they paid all the money, ESPN and Fox and everybody else. The bigger check they're writing out to these conferences means more TV timeouts. There's no doubt about it.
So, Phil, when you're at the game on Saturday, look at the scoreboard across from where you sit, and it will say media timeout. And I think now it starts at 3 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But it will say what the timeout is, and it says media timeout.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's new, isn't it? That's new. Media timeout is new, isn't it?
I don't know. It's new in college football, but I think they're longer now because that's where they're baking in the time that they're saving from the clock running on first downs.
Yeah.
It's not to try and speed the game up.
So they've got the same amount of, this is inside baseball here, but they've got the same amount of advertising slots and inventory, but the games are shorter. So they need to the games are going too fast compared to their ad schedule. So they need stopping points.
I think one reason they started running a clock, kept the clock running after first downs, was because the ads were going to get longer because of all these all the big money that Fox and ESPN and everybody's paying them. So they're still going like 3:27 or 3:30 or something, but they're fewer plays. But Chip Kelly's upset. I saw Chip's upset that the game's going too fast. The NFL did the same thing, right? What, 15 years ago? When was it? When did they start running fewer plays? Right?
The NFL?
Yeah, 10, 12 years ago. They
did things to speed the game up,
they
right?
Did things to speed the game up, right?
They did.
And they've started running fewer plays. There's fewer plays. And I know what is wrong with both of them that we need 40-second huddles. That's what drives me crazy. Why don't we have to, Canada, you got to run a play in 25 seconds.
Well, but it's kind of both.
Do that?
If the clock stops, it's 25. It's like, okay, everyone gather. Now it's 25 seconds. If the clock is running, it's 40 seconds. So it's both. I think I don't know what it is in Canada.
We don't need 40. We don't need the guy looking at the damn iPad on the sidelines and then setting someone in on the last minute or flashing all these things.
Well, we need time for the Bart Simpson sign next to the Family Guy sign.
Be ready to go. Okay, give them if the clock's still running, give them an extra 5 seconds. You should be able to run a play in 30 seconds, for God's sake.
You know what I would do? I would get rid of all this. I would do it like soccer. I would have 35 minutes of running time. It never stops, and then we put some vague, ambiguous stoppage time on the end.
That's right.
And then the officials can kind of decide, game's over. We're good. We're good here.
Here's my favorite thing about soccer, right? You're playing on the biggest field in sports. You're playing with 10 or 11 guys, and you got one jackass out there running around trying to call the whole.
There's one ref.
One ref. You got one guy. Isn't there somebody that'll supposed to help him with offsides, right? But
he's got the binoculars. That looked like a foul.
Yeah, you got 5 different guys groveling in pain on the field at the same time. You don't know which one's phony, which one's not.
It's like wrestling. Like one of them's holding a chair, but you didn't see it,
Yeah. I don't get it. Why they got one official? They got a line. They got somebody who can call offsides and help him out. And then the great part about that is these be for the soccer heads. These guys become worldwide villains, right? Because Bill Schwartz, he screwed Cambodia. We're gonna kill him. It's incredible to me.
Can you imagine like Ric Flair on a soccer field trying to sell Andrew? Oh no! And then he just gets up and just goes and scores a goal. And then he just gets up and runs.
Pokes you in the eye or runs for a goal.
What about football having one ref or one official? Why not have just one guy out there saying,
"That's great.
You call offsides, right? You call offsides. I got everything else."
Yeah, and if you see something else, you can't say anything because all you're doing is calling offsides.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I kind of noticed over here that the guy took a knife out and stabbed him, but I didn't see it. I didn't. I can't call it. I can't tell the official that. It's the goofiest thing of all time. There's no doubt about it.
So anyway, hey, all right, we got it because we got to get to a Purple Daily live stream. But what's your prediction? 5.5 point favorites.
Vikings will cover. Vikings will cover. Vikings by I think 2 touchdowns. I don't think Tampa's any good. And this offense is really explosive, and they'll play well early. And I don't know if Tampa's got a big, fierce defensive line to go after the quarterback. I don't think they do. So I'd say the Vikings cover, and everybody's happy. And then you go to Philadelphia, and we'll find out if you're any good or not.
Yeah, we get two games in the next 6 days here. This is great.
Sports bars around town are celebrating, baby. They're celebrating.
Yes,
so
indeed.
They need this. So, okay.
All right, Pat.
That's me.
Have a good football weekend, and we'll catch you on Monday.
I got Bethel and Wartburg on Saturday. Wartburg, number 3 team in the country. It'll be a battle.
Nice. So. Wow. Let's get it.
See ya.
Division 3. All right. Royce Unchained today, presented by our friends at Power Lodge and Miller Marine. So we're still in Bennington. I see it's going to get up to 85 degrees in a week here. So you got a couple more weekends for sure of summer weather. But you're also looking ahead. ATVs, snowmobiles, whatever it is, whether it's on land or water, it all starts at the Lodge, the Power Lodge, and Miller Marine in St. Cloud. See you guys.